Yet another shocking video shining a light on the disturbing rise of anti-Semitism on college campuses. Take a look at this demonstration near Tulane University in New Orleans, turning violent after a masked pro-Palestinian protester tries to burn an Israeli flag. Joining us now is the man who filmed that video, Tulane student Ryan Zamos. Ryan, thanks for being with us this morning. I take it you were there that day. Tell us what's going on in Tulane. What's happening there? Yeah, it was terrifying. Tulane University allowed for a pro-Palestinian protest to occur, and they did not take the preventative measures that were necessary, such as shutting down the street. So the car, as you see on the screen, drove by 4 times previously, and it was on the 5th time that they attempted to burn the flag. Before students attempted to grab the flag, before, as you see, pro-Palestinian protesters come in and assault numerous students. So are these, tell me, who I'm looking at on screen, like, when I see this, whatever college campus I'm looking at in this case. Tan, I also understand, these weren't necessarily students from Tulane, so like, who was involved in all of these incidences, correct, so nearby universities such as Loyola in New Orleans, is organizing these protests under the name Tulane for Palestine, because Tulane is a 44% Jewish population of students, so it seems like they're specifically targeting such university to, promote hate and to antagonize Jewish students, and to frankly scare us, and make it so that we're afraid to go to class, and it's deeply concerning. Tulane, by the way, put out this statement, said 3 Tulane students were assaulted at a rally intentionally staged on a public sidewalk along Fett Street over which we do not have control. This rally was not approved or sanctioned by Tulane. We condemn and are outraged by today's violence and the hateful language and the rhetoric we heard. It's countered to everything we stand for at Tulane. Ryan, what about that hateful language? When these protests, these pro-Palestinian protests take place, I think something that always people wonder is like, distinguish, you're for Palestine, you're anti-Jewish, like, what are you hearing, what are you seeing involved in these rallies and in parades? Oh yeah, I think it's a simple, Tulane has to take a firm stance against hate rather than remaining neutral. We've seen other universities' leaders, such as the UF president, speaking out and calling out facts, and there's simply no tiptoeing around the fact that what Hamas did is evil, and there's no defense for terrorism. So these protests, they're not pro-Palestinian, they're anti-Jewish and anti-Israel. And do you hear that? Or see that, Ryan, at the protest, correct? There's plenty of anti-Semitism slurs. Shouted at students. The signage that's used is directly targeting Jewish students for the removal of all Jews from basically worldwide, and primarily Israel. And yeah, it's just deeply concerning that there's a lack of accountability in handling Jewish students' concerns about their safety, as evidence from whether it be unresponsive emails when students face threats, or, emails following protests such as this that are just kind of covering their liability moving forward. Ryan, you just said, I didn't realize, by the way, that Tulane is 44% Jewish, so you have that community. Are you surprised? I've seen the polling young people much more supportive of Palestinians than you might than older generations, so Gen Z more so than millennials, millennials more so than Gen X, and on and on and on. Does that surprise you for your age demographic? Yeah, it's terrifying, frankly, and it's deeply concerning that Tulane University is allowing pro-Palestinian students to issue these mutual non-con orders. I think this is kind of a global trend that's being used from as low as the middle school level. I know I'm from Los Angeles, so in Manhattan Beach, students are being issued these summons, where they're basically just issuing these non-con orders to silence and harass Jewish students to prevent open dialogue. And it's clear whose side that they're on and who they're willing to protect. And I think it's a matter of what Hamas did is evil, and there's no defense, and we must protect your students so that they feel safe to go to school and go to class, and feel like the university has their back. Many of these non-contact orders that have been issued have been between students who have never spoken to each other, who've never had any form of communication. And so, it's scary to go to class and know that these students are present everywhere in classrooms with us, all right? Ryan Zamos, thank you so much for being with us this morning, and tell us about what's happening there in New Orleans. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate your time.